Well, hello and welcome to episode 75 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here as always with Michaela. Michaela, may the 4th be with you.
And also with you. But be careful because it could be Revenge of the 5th.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. If you're catching this a day late, it will be Revenge of the 5th. But today we're releasing early, so that way this episode could come out on May the 4th. We are doing our second annual Star Wars film. We did A New Hope last year. We made up some blue milk that we got from the Sky Talkers podcast. So go give that a listen if you need to start at the beginning / the 4th. Do that. But then, we're going to be getting into The Empire Strikes Back today, which is a great day. It's widely considered to be one of the greatest sequels of all time. It's a lot of people's favorite Star Wars film. I certainly hold it in high regard. But before we get into that, we need to catch up a little bit. What have we been doing otherwise? Michaela, it's pollen season here, so I've been sneezing. I've had a congested head, but we went and saw a movie. We went and saw The Northman. How was that? How'd you like The Northman?
I thought The Northman was good. I didn't have very high expectations. I loved the look and feel of it. I thought it was beautiful, very dark, very gritty, as you would sort of expect. And I loved the plot kind of twist that happens. And I don't want to spoil it because we're not covering it, but there's a twist where you're thinking it's going one way and it's totally not. And I loved that. But I thought it was good. I think people will enjoy it if they are interested in a Viking kind of revenge stories. It's really good. And the acting's really good. It's got a lot of really cool characters. I didn't know Willem Dafoe was in it. And he plays kind of a small part, but he's epically amazing as he is with most things. So yeah, I liked it. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It was about what I expected. I think that if you are in tune with Norse mythology and things, you probably get a little bit more out of it. You can kind of understand a little bit more of the symbolism. But if you're going in as, kind of a novice to those types of stories, I still think you would enjoy it. Like you said, the twist and like this family revenge sort of tale that's going on is great. Alexander Skarsgård is fantastic, and this thing it looks unbelievable. The way they're playing on colors and shadows and shading and the way things are framed and it looks unbelievable. So yeah, if you're interested at all, I would definitely recommend going to check it out. But have you been seeing anything else lately, Michaela?
Took my son to see The Bad Guys.
Okay.
Was
similar to The Northman in most ways.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Same story, really. And it was actually pretty good. It was surprisingly good. It was it's kind of a heisty, Ocean's 11 kind of feel, but it's a cartoon. It's an animated film.
Because they're all the quote unquote like bad, scary animals, right? Is kind of what this is based on.
Yeah. So the big bad wolf is the ringleader, and you've got like a snake and a piranha and a shark, all the things, a lot of animals that can kill people and do in a lot of fables and myths and stuff. And it's neat. I liked it. There's a lot of heistiness to it where they, try to steal things or are they stealing things and are they bad versus are they good? And I liked it. My son loved it. So it doesn't surprise me that it's done as well as it has in the box office. Let's see. What else did I watch? Oh, I did see a new Netflix film that came out with Chris Pine. And it was I love Chris Pine. So anything he's in, I try and watch. And it just came out and it's called All the Old Knives.
Okay.
And it's out on Netflix, and it's also got Thandie Newton. She's amazing in it. Chris Pine is always awesome. I thought it was a really interesting espionage spy relationship betrayal thriller film. I thought it was interesting. It wasn't the best thing I've ever seen Chris Pine in, but it was pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to check that out. The wife and I binged through Ozark. So we finished the final season of that. So we were all caught up, but I'm not going to talk about it because Michaela is too busy watching a Chris Pine movie instead of watching Ozark. So we'll have
it's
to
only been out in my defense. It has only been out for 2 days. So you guys and the rest of America decided to do nothing but watch it this weekend. And that's admirable. That's fine.
That's right. You call yourself a fan. Myself and Jason Bateman are disappointed in you, as is everyone else. But we have important stuff to talk about. It is May the 4th. It is Star Wars Day, and we're going to be diving into The Empire Strikes Back. So why don't we take a quick break, and we will be right back to get our cocktails made and fight off the Empire. All right. So this week's cocktail, it comes from the Summer Fruit Cup blog, which hasn't been updated in a little while, but you found these recipes, Michaela. They looked pretty cool. I went back and looked through the blog, and the blog was kind of fun. So maybe it's just on hiatus, but yeah, go check it out. We'll put a link to their site here in the show notes and on the website. But they had these cocktails, and they were themed for the Empire Strikes Back locations, and we wanted to give them a try. They all sounded pretty good. But wait, what's that up in the sky? That is a Star Destroyer, and is raining down probe droids to find our location of the new Rebel base. So we're going to grab our ingredients, and we're going to get this movie started, and we're going to have to mix these up as we go because the Empire has arrived.
Spoiler warning for Empire Strikes Back. If you've not yet seen this film, I don't know what you're doing listening to this podcast because it's a movie that has gone over generations of people. And everybody has watched, everybody except my good friend, Jamie. Jamie, if this is the first time you're listening to this, you can go ahead and skip it because you're going to want to watch this film before we talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
But if you haven't seen it, go ahead. You can stay with us because we're going to talk about these 3 amazing drinks based on these 3 amazing planets that take us on this journey through Empire Strikes Back. They've all got their own personalities, and there's really cool adventures that happen in each of the areas. And likewise, we have 3 amazing drinks to pair up with them. So just so you know, if you've seen it, great. Sit back, relax, and listen to us as we go through this entire film.
That's right. That was a very lengthy spoiler warning for a film that came out in 1980 that everyone on the planet has seen. But yeah, if you've not, take a break, go to the website and find the ingredients for the cocktails and make those while you're watching it, and then come back and we'll chat about it. So 1980, as I mentioned, this is the George Lucas creation. This was directed by Irvin Kershner, and it stars again Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, Kenny Baker as R2-D2. It's all the old cast from A New Hope. We're also bringing in Billy Dee Williams. He's going to be playing Lando Calrissian, the smoothest character in maybe all of film history. It's hard to say. We're gonna get into that and talk about it. But this won an Oscar, Michaela. It also won a second Special Achievement Oscar, which I guess counts as 2 Oscars. So it won for Best Sound and the Special Achievement in Visual Effects. But it lost for Best Art Direction, and it lost for Best Score. John Williams did not win for Best Score. Do you know what won? I'll give you a guess. Just guess randomly off the top of your head. You're never going to think of it. It's Fame.
Sophie's Choice. Fame.
I want to live forever. Fame. Yeah, that won the Oscar.
Learn
not John Williams.
Fly?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, you know what we should do here on Drink the Movies is at some point we should do an episode of Oscars that we got wrong, that the entire world got wrong. I'm looking at you, Shakespeare in Love versus Schindler's List. I'm looking at you. But we should do something like that because this would be definitely like number 2 on our list of misdirections within the Oscar world of who decided, who in the right mind thought that Fame, look, listen.
No shade to Fame. No shade to Fame, but
holy moly, we're not talking about Fame's 47th anniversary of amazingness this year. We're not doing that. What we are talking about is this amazing John Williams beautiful score that has lasted and run the test of time. We have an entire world in Florida dedicated to this movie. It's yeah. You got it wrong, Academy. Yeah, you got it wrong.
So you blew that one. And yeah, and you know what else was blown was the location of the Rebel Alliance's new base, right? So as I mentioned, there's a Star Destroyer up ahead. It is raining down probe droids through the galaxy, and one is going to land on the frozen planet of Hoth, which is where we catch up with our heroes. We have Luke Skywalker, who is out riding around on his trusty tauntaun. He is looking for some sort of markers and things, and he sees one of these probe droids crash, and he says, "I need to go check that out." But before we go check that out with Mr. Skywalker, we need to check out the cocktail for Hoth. And this one is super simple. I dare say that it was tasty in kind of a menthol cough drop kind of a way. But Michaela, tell us about our cocktail for the icy planet of Hoth.
Okay, so this Hoth cocktail, it is 1.5 ounces of your favorite vodka, and then 3/4 of an ounce of creme de menthe. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a glass. Now, we did this in a rocks glass, right? And we used crushed ice. I think that is really the key. You want the ice particles to be fairly small because you want this to get really, really cold. And so what you're going to do is you're going to fill that glass with your crushed ice. In a separate shaker, you're going to add the 1.5 ounces of vodka and the 3/4 ounces of creme de menthe. You're going to shake that up without any ice in it. Just make sure it gets really good and mixed. And then you're going to pour that right on over your glass of crushed ice. Now, what I find interesting is that it looks a little blue, which is weird because neither one of my vodka or the creme de menthe was blue. I don't know if that's because it reacted with the ice. I'm not a scientist. I don't know, but it creates this icy blue, like just a hint of blue concoction that you then drink, and the menthol mintiness kind of coats your throat. And it's almost like a cold cigarette. It's really weird and yet strangely delicious.
It was very weird. I still don't see the blue in it that you saw, but that's okay. That's okay. Let us know. Make one of these at home and let us know if you think that it's blue or not. But it's crystal clear and it is ice cold. So you have the chunky like crushed ice, and you have the vodka and the creme de menthe, which is like this cooling thing. And when I was thinking about this cocktail, I'm like, that's going to taste like a Hall's Mentholyptus cough drop, and that is what it tastes like. But it's weirdly refreshing in kind of a way. Like it would be really good like as like an after dinner thing. Like if you just had like a huge meal, you'd be like, oh, I'll just have one of those, and that would be like good like digestive kind of a thing.
Yeah.
With the mint, like an after dinner mint cocktail kind of thing. But it's really good. And kind of the description of it in this in the blog that we found was that, you know, they just wanted it to taste, you know, super cold like Hoth. And you know, this snow ice planet is it's very cold looking. I get cold watching the Hoth section on Empire Strikes Back all of the 100 times that I've watched it. But yeah, what do you think, Michaela? Are you gonna mix these up on the regular? You gonna try this again? Is this something you're into now, or?
Yeah, I liked it. I think I'm probably going to have to add it to another flavor. I think if you added like a coffee liqueur or a chocolate liqueur with it, it would also be really nice. But I loved the cold crispness of it because it really did suit the world of Hoth, right? And as we get back into what's going on in the movie, poor Luke, he gets his face like almost torn off by a abominable snowman thing that has a name. I'm sure you know what it is, Brian.
That's right. Yeah, the you see Luke there. He's riding around on his tauntaun. He takes a paw to the face from the Wampa. He gets drug off to a cave, and he doesn't check in with the rebel base. You get Han and Chewie. They're there trying to fix up the Millennium Falcon. Leia is there. She's like, why Luke hasn't checked in? Where's Luke? Haven't heard from Luke. We need to find Luke. So Han says, give me one of those tauntauns. I'm going to ride it out there. I'm going to find Luke. Han is here to save the day. You know, even though the temperatures are freezing, you know, they're as cold as this cocktail, but he's going to go out anyway. He needs to go find his buddy.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite scenes of this film, actually, and it's really short, but they try to tell Han, hey, don't go out. It's too cold. You know, we're going to have to, there's a blizzard coming in, or, you know, because the whole thing is covered in ice. So I don't know why they think a blizzard's coming in. The blizzard does arrive, but either way, they're like, dude, don't leave. It's really cold. You don't have a coat on. Like he's going out as he does, like as Han Solo, right? And he had just gotten into a fight with Leia. She's, you know, kind of taunting him and saying, you can't wait to leave. And he's like, of course they can't wait to leave. But as soon as he hears that no one has heard from Luke and Luke is out there, he's like, I'm going, and I'm going right now, and you're not going to stop me. And I think it really shows his growth as a character. You know, Han gets a lot of, we take a lot of cheap shots at Han because they, you know, there's this whole debate about Han shooting first or not in A New Hope, and whether or not, he's just a bounty hunter, and is he a good guy, or is he was just in the right place at the right time. But to me, this is when it really starts to show his allegiance and depth of character, because in all reality, they think he's going to die. They're worried about him going out looking for Luke. They're like, he's never going to make it back. And yet he's like, my friend is out there and I'm going to get him. Real cool.
That's right. So he gets out there. He does find Luke. Luke makes his way out of the lair of the Wampa. He uses the Force to get his lightsaber back. He has maybe it's a hallucination, maybe it's a Force vision. It's hard to say. But Obi-Wan Kenobi sprouts up. The ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "You need to go to Dagobah. You need to find Yoda. That's going to be your call to adventure there." So Han finds him. He's out in the snow, freezing to death. Han's tauntaun collapses. It's too cold for the tauntauns, who are native to Hoth, so it's definitely too cold for Han and Luke. So what do? You cut open the tauntaun, you stuff Luke inside of it, and you start building yourself a little igloo so you can make it through the night. And they do make it through the night. Snow speeders come the next morning. They find them. They take them back to safety, put Luke in a hot tub full of some healing Bacta, and he is good to go. That's right. But then maybe a questionable decision is made, and it's that you get a kiss from who you're going to find out later is your sister. So womp womp.
yeah. Spoiler warning. If you've not seen Return of the Jedi, whoops. It's a really weird scene, because once again, Han and Leia have this banter going back and forth. Leia keeps telling Han, you can't wait to leave. And Han's like, well, you don't care about me at all, really. You don't mind that I'm leaving. Now, there's some questions really about how long it's been since the first movie took place, since A New Hope took place. It's been 3 years in human production time, but I don't know if it's actually been that long since this has occurred. There has been, it some time has definitely passed, because we've found this rebel base and we have built it up and we're living in it and things like that. So definitely some time has passed, but you don't know how long this underlying love sexual tension thing was going on between Leia and Han. But Leia decides to piss off Han by kissing Luke, and it's like really weird. It definitely looks like she's forcing her. I don't know. Luke seems just as bewildered and befuddled as Han. He's like, what just happened?
No, he kicks his feet up. He puts his hands behind his head. He's like, that's right, Han. See, the princess has chosen me. But yeah, so they're there. The probe droids have crashed. Han and Chewie go out to investigate. They see it, Imperial probe droid. That could only mean one thing: that Darth Vader and crew are about ready to find this rebel base. They're going to come in and kill us all. It's time to leave. We gotta go. So they're going to start loading up the transport ships. They're going to be sending them off planets to try to save as many of the members of the Rebel Alliance as they can, but there's going to be an epic ground battle / ice battle here on the surface of Hoth. And if you are a Rebel trooper in the trenches on Hoth, and you pull out your binoculars and you look and you see an Imperial walker, and it stands like 100 feet tall, and it has cannons on its head, and it's walking at you like a crazy giant like mammoth-sized elephant, just raining down fire on you. That's a bad day. That's a bad day.
Now, I have a secret. I don't know if it's a secret, but I have something to tell you about Star Wars and me. There's like a black hole inside of my head for all things episodes 4, 5, and 6. Probably 1, 2, and 3 as well. Okay, let's just be honest. And what that means is that every time I see these films, I've seen them numerous times, but every time I see them, I kind of forget. What happens. So during this scene, I watched this last night, and I was entranced by how amazing the set direction was, how amazing the special effects were, how amazing these shots were taken, because you have a moment where Luke actually like catapults himself up into one of these AT-ATs, and it looks like it's like 100 feet tall, and it's just amazing. This movie is older than I am, and it can do things that I would not have ever believed that it could do, that a movie that old could do. And it's such an epic kind of ground battle between the kind of the fire that's raining down and all of the running around that's happening. And they're in this kind of the captain's area of the rebel base, and they're trying to get everybody out, and they're trying to get Leia safe. And she is a total, man, she's just a heroine, right? She's like, I'm not leaving my people. I'm gonna.
She is the boss of the Rebel Alliance.
That's sure. Right. She's amazing, and it's such a great scene. And it was like watching it for the first time. It was so good.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Even though I know what happens, I was like, are they going to get out? Is she going to get out? Because there are things that are falling out of the walls.
Yeah, the tunnels are collapsing, like they're underground, like base there in the snow. We mentioned that this, won a special achievement Oscar for visual effects, and I think that this first battle is probably a big reason why it did that. You had in the 1977 Star Wars, you had the big space battle, and that was very revolutionary. But one of the kind of the boundaries that got pushed here with Empire Strikes Back is they have this, it's almost like it's a big aerial battle. You have the snow speeders; they're going against these big walkers and things. But it's like a white on white color contrast, so you can't hide any of the wires that you would be using or things. There's nowhere to hide it. In space, you can hide the wires, right? Because the background is black, but here the background is white. So everything would show. So it took a lot of time and effort and energy to get this to look great. And it does look great. It looks fantastic. I remember even back as a kid, I really liked the Hoth section and this battle, and the snow speeders are flying around these walkers and tripping them up with their cables and stuff. And that's pretty great. Now, as you mentioned, Luke gets up into one of these, blows it up. That's pretty good. The Rebel Alliance seems to be saved for the time being. They get off planet. Han is able to get Princess Leia off on the Millennium Falcon, him and Chewbacca, and, of course, C-3PO tagging along there. And Luke gets back to his X-Wing, and him and R2-D2 have their destination. They're headed to Dagobah. Princess Leia and Han Solo are on their way to get to the next, I guess, Rebel kind of rendezvous point. But we're going to go with Luke to Dagobah. That's where Ben Kenobi told him to go. That's where he's going to go. And that's where we're going to go with our next cocktail.
That's right. And this cocktail is really interesting. It calls for some cucumber. So get a whole English seedless cucumber. And you need some ice in a glass. You need an ounce of gin. You need 5 to 6 ounces of unfiltered apple juice. So if you go and get Simply Apple or it needs to be unfiltered. So it's got to be cloudy. Okay. Kind of like dirty water, only delicious. And then a 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce of Midori. All right. And the way you're going to build this bad boy, okay, this Dagobah cocktail is you're going to put some cucumber. You're going to do 2 slices of that, right, with a potato peeler. All right. And you're going to put 1 slice in the glass. You're going to put ice in it. And then you'll do 1 more slice on top. And then you're just going to pour your gin in first, then followed by the unfiltered apple juice, 5 to 6 ounces. And then 1/4 to 1/2 ounce of your Midori, depending on how sweet you want it. And then you're going to drink this. And I have to say, it didn't sound great. I was like, I don't know. But it is really cool. It's got some it's like an onion of flavor though. It's got a lot of levels.
Yeah, that's right. It is. It's a lot of layers, as Donkey says in Shrek. But yeah, so you build this thing up and you drink it, and it's weird because you get the aromatic bit of the cucumber peel, and then you drink it and it's like apple juice, but it's mixed with the Midori, watermelon flavor, which tastes super weird. And then you get the gin kind of backing to it. So kind of your botanical gin there. And it's very interesting, but it's really, really delicious. It's very hard to describe because there's a lot going on, but it's pretty cool. And the Midori is cool too because it's that dark green color, so it kind of weasels its way down through that unfiltered apple juice. So it looks really cool and very kind of swampy looking, which is what Dagobah looks like.
Right. No, it definitely reminds me of that swamp area that they land in, and his poor Luke, his X-Wing kind of sinks into the middle of the swamp. It kind of, I don't know, it almost kind of envelopes around him, and you can almost it's very green, gray, brown. A lot of, like I said, the art direction and the set direction in this film is insane. And he's walking around trying to find Master Yoda, right? Who's supposed to be, 1,000 years old or something. And he's supposed to be, one of the most knowledgeable Jedis and Jedi masters in the way of the Force. And then he finds Yoda, and you think that Yoda is going to be this old man, kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi, maybe older, this humanoid looking person. And it is anything but. It's what we now know as Yoda, which is a little green, pointy-eared, short, animatronic looking thing. What is Yoda?
Yeah, so we don't know what Yoda is. That's
okay.
one of the Star Wars mysteries. Is that you never know exactly what species or where Yoda or Yoda's people come from, I guess. But yeah, we do meet him. He's a puppet created by the kind of the Henson Muppetry style. He is voiced and moved around by Frank Oz. Now, Jim Henson was asked to do it, but just time constraints, he wasn't able to. So he was the one that recommended Frank Oz, who also worked at the Henson company doing the Muppets. So that you have that, and now you have there could only be one voice of Yoda, and that is Frank Oz, and it's pretty amazing. One of the cool things is because he's a puppet, the entire set of Dagobah was built on a soundstage, like 2 to 3 feet tall, because Frank Oz had to be underneath of it so he could puppet Yoda through all of this stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, we meet him. He goes back. Luke doesn't know who it is. He's like, "You're just this crazy little old hermit green guy. You're stealing my food. You're attacking R2D2. You're just causing trouble. I just want to go meet Yoda. So can you take me to him?" And Yoda says, "Yeah, I'll take you to him. Sure. Let's swing by my house. We'll have some dinner, and then I'll take you to see Yoda." But Luke's impatient. That's not a good trait for a Jedi, says Yoda, as he reveals himself to be the one true Jedi master.
Yeah, no, it's a great scene. Yoda is so patient. It's almost annoying in today's day and age. You're like, dude, just speak. But he speaks the way he speaks, right? He does this. It's like pig Latin, but it's not. It's like pig Latin, but with words, with whole sentences instead of words. Yeah, much to learn you have, kind of thing, right? So he does agree to train Luke, and starts to train him in ways of the Force. One of my favorite scenes is Luke has Master Yoda on his back like a little baby.
Yep.
In a carrier, right? And he's like,
it's Baby Bjorn. Yeah, he's running around.
Right. Luke is running around the swampland. He's jumping over his half-sunk X-wing. He's doing these flips. He's running around, and he's like, I've learned so much. I've learned so much already. I can do this, and this is great. And but he doesn't have a lot of faith in himself, and he doesn't really have enough faith in the Force to make things work. And one of my favorite scenes is that Yoda basically shows off the breadth and greatness that the Force has, and Yoda kind of lifts up his plane that has completely now sunk, right? And I'd seen that scene before, but again, I have a black hole in my brain when it comes to this. So not only was I like, wow, that's amazing, but I loved what happened directly after, which is Luke looks at Yoda and says, I don't believe that you just did that. I don't believe it. And Yoda says, well, that's why you fail. That's why you can't do it, because you don't believe what you're doing. You don't believe enough in the Force. And it's kind of one of those things that makes you realize that the Force will give you what you give it. So if you truly believe that the Force is with you and you can do all these things through the Force, that will happen. At least that's my interpretation of that scene. And it's one of my favorite scenes of like the Jedi training scenes for that reason.
Yeah. It's pretty great when he's lifting the X-wing out of there, because you've seen Luke like doing that with rocks. He's lifting R2, D2 up in the air and things. He's trying to do that, but he keeps losing his concentration. He keeps dropping these things. And yeah, when Yoda tells him to get his X-wing out of the swamp, he tells him that he can't do it. And, he tells him, there, do or do not. There is no try. Luke gives it a crack, and then he says that it's impossible, like you said. Now the music that's playing, I'm not entirely sure that it's better than the whole of the Fame soundtrack, but pretty sure that it is. It's pretty gorgeous. It's an amazing scene. But kind of to encapsulate our time on Dagobah is, Luke's starting to get these visions. He knows that his friends are in trouble, and he needs to go save them. Now Yoda is there. The spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi are there, and they're like, Luke, listen, dude, you're not ready. You're going to go meet Darth Vader. That's going to go as bad as possible. It's going to be bad for you. It's going to be bad for your friends. It's going to be bad. Don't do it. Stay here. Complete your training. Don't be hasty. Have some patience like Yoda has. Yoda has like oodles of patience. You need to have just a little bit of this patience before you go. But no, he knows that his friends are in trouble, and his friends are in trouble because they've been chased by the Empire, by the Star Destroyers, and they've had to, they only had kind of one course of action, and that was to go into the asteroid field to get out of danger.
Yeah, and that proves to be a real bad idea because they go into this like tiny, well, I guess it's a tiny moon, but it's still real big.
It's an asteroid. It's a big asteroid.
Yeah, that's it. It's a big asteroid, but they're kind of riding around trying to find a place to hide, and Han gets this great idea. He's like, I'm going to go into this asteroid, and we're just going to sit here and we'll just wait for this whole thing to blow over. It'll be fine. And of course, the famous line, Leia says, I have a really bad feeling about this. I really hope you know what you're doing. And he's like, I do too. I really hope I know what I'm doing and we don't end up dying. But what ends up happening is they end up inside the belly of a giant space whale thing.
Yeah, it's a big like space worm. They go into this. They go into what they think is a cave, but really it's a tunnel that this little space worm guy has dug. But they go in there, they land. They're trying to fix up the ship because it's the Millennium Falcon. It's a bucket of bolts. It's never living up to its full potential. It never seems to want to work right. So they're there. They're doing their repairs. But this is an important section because this is when our love starts to flourish.
That's right. Oh yeah, they start to have it. So Han and Leia have this crucial conversation where he says, you don't like me because you think I'm a bad guy, but I'm kind of a good guy. And they have this moment where they start kissing. And then of course they get interrupted by Chewie, who's like, Rrr! And it's, C-3PO, I think, is there having a moment. He's beating up R2-D2. I don't understand that relationship because C-3PO will totally yell like horrible things at R2-D2, and then R2-D2 will inadvertently save the day once again. And he's like, I never doubted you for a second.
Yeah, that's right. C-3PO is like your obnoxious know-it-all friend, and yeah, he totally walks in and blows up the spot when Han and Leia finally are kissing. They're doing their repairs. It turns into a passionate kiss. C-3PO comes in to let them know, that Chewbacca needs help or something on the ship. I don't remember, but yeah, so you get the kind of the blossoming of this love. But, about then they decide, oh, we're inside of this worm. We need to get out of here immediately. So that's what they do. They fly out. They get out just in the nick of time. They're flying through the teeth. They're still in the asteroid field. There are still Star Destroyers around. They are getting, they're getting shot at left and right. The hyperdrive is still not working. But Han has a really good plan, and that he's going to fly directly at the Star Destroyer and attach himself to it. And that way they're not going to be able to see him. They can't see him on their scopes, on their little map. Can't find out where this thing is because he is attached to them. But it's not all roses and rainbows, because on board that very same Star Destroyer, Darth Vader's there with, a handful of the galaxy's most feared bounty hunters. And he's like, go get Han Solo. No disintegrations, Boba Fett. Just capture him because I need him alive, because Han Solo is going to be my bait to get Luke Skywalker to come and confront me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really interesting because it's the first time we see Boba Fett in this trilogy, right? So in episodes 1, 2, and 3, we kind of see the creation of how he got to be who he is and all of that. But we didn't know anything about that when this came out in 1980, right? So all we see is this guy in this green armor, and he says like 2 words the entire trilogy, and he says them in this, and I think he says "yes, sir" or something like that. But it is really interesting to me how Boba Fett becomes this just iconic character throughout the entirety of the Star Wars saga, right? Because he's this total, like, well-known, hugely feared bounty hunter, and he will stop at nothing to get his to get Han Solo and to collect his bounty. And he is going to collect his bounty from a guy that we don't know yet. No, we do actually, because we see him in A New Hope, right? We see Jabba the Hutt in The New Hope, and that is
in the special editions. Yeah, so we see him there.
Yeah, but only in the special editions, right? Where he's kind of weird and walking around, and that's odd. But yes, so depending on when you've watched this, you know who Jabba the Hutt is. At least you know what he looks like or not, right? The first time I saw this, I had not seen the special edition, so I had no idea who this guy was, but he didn't sound good. He didn't sound like a good guy.
That's right. Yeah. And Boba Fett he was like this weird, like, pop culture sort of like phenomenon kind of thing. Cause like you mentioned, he only says a couple words in this film, but he looked cool. He was very mysterious. Star Wars toys were all of the rage, from 1977 all the way up to today. So got like this huge following for this guy. But yeah, these bounty hunters are tasked with going to get Han Solo, and Boba Fett is the one that's going to do that. So you see, it's a really gorgeous scene. He says that they're just going to stay attached to the Star Destroyer, and they'll, he knows that Imperial protocol is that they're going to dump all of their trash before they go into hyperspace. And he says, when they do that, we're just going to detach and we'll float away with the rest of the garbage. And they do. It's very pretty. Leia says, you have your moments, gives him a little kiss, but you see Boba Fett's little ship just trailing after him. He was on to Han's plan to float away with the trash. So he can't quite get away. But they are on their way to the next destination. Where are you going to go? You need to go to a place where you have some friends in high places that can help you get your ship fixed, can help you lay low. And that is Cloud City, Bespin. That's where we're headed next. And that is where we're going to get our third and final cocktail for The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, so this cocktail is really beautiful. It looks like a cup of cloud. It's so pretty. And it's actually really easy to make. It is also a gin drink. So you're going to need 2 ounces of your favorite gin. You need an ounce of blue curacao. Now, we'll talk about the blue curacao in a minute, but an ounce of that. You need an ounce of lemon juice and then an egg white. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to put all of that in a shaker with some ice, and you're going to shake that. And then you're going to strain it into a chilled glass. And it's going to be this really brilliant kind of blue color. The lemon juice and the egg white gives it kind of this opaque, it's a light blue, but it's like a Vermeer blue. It's really beautiful, and it's creamy. And you're going to drink 1 sip of this and think it might have too much lemon, but then you're going to drink a second sip and be like, this is pretty darn good. That's going to be the course of events that happen if you make this drink. I promise you.
That's right. That is the story here. This drink, it is beautiful. It is very kind of sophisticated tasting, but it's still kind of fun and fruity. You get the orange from the blue curacao. You get that kind of acidity from the lemon juice. And yeah, maybe it was a little bit of lemon. You and I were hypothesizing, because we used a Gifford's blue curacao, which is a really high quality blue curacao, that maybe the lemon was just a little bit too much for that. And if you're using a blue curacao, like a cheaper one that would be a little bit more kind of sugary and less refined, maybe the lemon cuts through that. So, your mileage may vary. There probably depends on the exact, lemon you're using and stuff like that too. So, but yeah, definitely give this one a try, because this was delicious and it was pretty. It would totally be an easy way to impress someone with your mixology skills. If you're like, oh, I'll mix you up this cocktail, and it's going to be this opaque blue thing sitting and nested in a little cup, looking like Cloud City. It's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. And Cloud City is actually also very beautiful. Now, It's
True.
so different than all of the other scenes because everything is like white and crisp and clean. And Leia, they're headed in. Leia's asking Han, like, where are we going? Who do you know? And he says, oh, it's my old friend and sort of enemy, Lando Calrissian.
Frenemies.
Right. And he's like, oh yeah, I know him well. I don't really trust him, but I know him. And so of course, Lando is there. Lando is played by the amazing Billy D. Williams. Mm-hmm. There's a whole movie spinoff around the friendship that, how the origin story of how Lando and Han got to meet each other and what's up. Why do they both talk about the Millennium Falcon being their particular ship? But Lando welcomes them. He welcomes them with open arms. It looks like Leia gets to go and have a shower and like change clothes, and mm-hmm. they talk a little bit more. And she doesn't trust Lando at all. She's like, something's weird. This is not right. And Han's like, yeah, I don't trust him either. But I think we don't really have another option. So we're gonna lay low here.
It beats getting shot out of space by a Star Destroyer for sure.
Right. So they, but of course, Leia, her intuition was correct. Mm-hmm. And Lando totally made a deal with the devil, aka Darth Vader, in this mess. Right. Darth Vader kind of put the screws to Lando, and Lando didn't feel like he had a choice. So you can tell he regrets being put in this position, but at the end of the day, he's not gonna get shot into space. He's gonna let somebody else do that.
Yeah, I mean, you do kind of, as you're watching through this section, you feel like Lando had kind of betrayed him, but I mean, he goes on to make the very important point that Darth Vader got here first, and what did you want me to do about that? Right? You don't really have any options when you're dealing with Darth Vader, who says, kind of at the tail end of this, Lando says that wasn't part of our deal, and Darth Vader's like, I don't care. Pray I don't change our deal anymore than I'm doing right now. So, so he doesn't really care about Lando. But yeah, they get there. Things are amiss. You get C-3PO. He hears like an astromech droid. He goes in to investigate it, and he ends up getting blasted into 10,000 pieces that Chewbacca is going to have to carry around on his back and try to put back together. Like you said, Leia's there. Chewbacca is like locked in the room. They're playing this really high pitched sound, so he's like going crazy. Han is getting tortured. All this bad stuff is happening, and it's just to send negative vibes out into the universe that Luke can pick up on. So go back to Dagobah, and Luke's there, and he's like, "Oh, my friends are in trouble. My friends are in pain. I need to go help them." He's being told not to go, but Luke has his mind made up.
That's
Han
right.
At the beginning of the film went out to save him, risked his life to do it. So Luke's going to do the same for his friends at Cloud City. So you see him and R2 packing up the X-wing, and they're off to Cloud City to try to help, because Darth Vader, he knows what he's doing. He set this trap perfectly. He's got Luke coming. That's who he really wants. He doesn't care about Han. He doesn't care about Leia. He doesn't care about Chewbacca. He just wants to get Luke there because he's got news for Luke. But yeah, he's going to get there.
He is going to get there. So poor Han, he gets encrusted in carbonite.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Sorry, maybe not encrusted. Maybe that's not the right word. He gets, I don't know. There's a scene, and it's actually, I'd always made fun of this scene, or I'd thought this scene was really hokey the last couple of times I watched this. But then this time, because of the black hole in my head, I actually really thought it was quite romantic, because they Han and Chewie are there with Leia, and Han is yelling at Chewie, and he's like, look, I'm going to get whatever happens to me is going to happen to me. You need to take care of the princess. You need to make sure that she's safe. You need to make sure that she's okay, and you need to do your best. And it's really quite beautiful the way that he's like, look,
it's heartbreaking. Yeah. Chewbacca he's wailing. He's so
he's
upset
so
and distraught.
Upset.
He's trying to throw the guards, and he's like, and yeah, Han's like, listen, calm down. You have to take care of her, because what's happening is happening. So
right. And then she kind of becomes overwhelmed, and so he kind of goes in this. Again, the set's amazing. Okay. I can't believe this was 40 years ago. they go into this weird thing where he's gonna be in the circle on the floor and he's kind of lowered down, and then they, I don't know, pour this carbonite on him or something. I don't know what happened. We don't really see that piece because there's a lot of steam. But as he's being lowered down, Leia tells him she loves him, and he's like, I know. And they always make it sound like it's so flippant, like he's like, I know you love me. But really, when you see this scene, it's really quite beautiful. Like, I don't think he says it back because he's still like not, I don't know, he can't be that vulnerable, but he knows that, he does know, and you can tell he also feels the same way. It's actually really, really romantic. And then he gets lowered down into this death pit of metal, and then he comes back up and he's like, and his hands everything is like encrusted in this very black metal looking thing, which is supposed to be carbonite. And they check they check his vitals, because apparently you can check once, even though you're metal, they can check to make sure you're still alive in this show. And so they do check that, and he's still alive. So there's some hope there, because if he's still alive, then that means they can probably figure out a way to rescue him later. But Boba Fett is like, yeah, this is my guy. I'm taking him back to Jabba the Hutt. I'll see y'all later. Thanks, Darth Vader. And then Darth Vader's like, you can you do whatever you want to do with Chewie and Leia, right?
Yep.
He's like, I don't care about them at all, because he can feel that Luke is coming.
Yeah, he knows Luke is coming. Yeah, he told Lando that Leia and Chewbacca could stay with him there on Cloud City, and Boba Fett was going to be taking Han off as his bounty prize there. So yeah, you'll see Han getting like pushed through the halls and up into his ship to go off to Jabba the Hutt for a future film. Darth Vader comes in to tell Lando Calrissian that, oh, by the way, I said that Leia and Chewbacca could stay with you. Just kidding about that. They're coming with me. And that's where you get, Lando's like, that wasn't part of the deal. And Darth Vader says, I don't care. Pray I don't alter the deal any further. But about this time, Luke shows up, and he's kind of stalking through the halls. I have to say, Bespin, Cloud City, it's gorgeous, especially in the special editions. Because I can barely even remember like the original editions now, because the special editions have been in the world for like, 25 years at this point. But it's all like with the open windows and stuff, and you see like that pinkish kind of like gas clouds in behind it. So it's really beautiful looking. But Luke's going through the hallways. Leia sees him. She tells him, she yells out, "It's a trap, Luke! Don't go. Bad idea. Trap. Don't get out of here." But Luke is persistent. He's going to go and confront Darth Vader, just like he did back on Dagobah in that tree cave. He's going to go. He thinks that he knows enough now, after spending a week with Yoda, that he can defeat the ultimate bad guy of all time. So he goes, they have their confrontation, Luke and Darth Vader. It's a really brilliant kind of lightsaber battle they have on that same platform where Han was just frozen in carbonite. And it ends up going into, I don't know, some sort of reactor shaft. In science fiction movies, everything has a giant shaft of energy inside of the building. And that's where this battle ends up going.
That's right. But how amazing is it? Like the different tunnels that they go through when they're fighting. Some of them are like black with these white lights kind of shining through. Some of them are white with these black lights shining through. It's very like, you can see now like Doctor Who, the Alien films that came later, Event Horizon, all of these space films, right? You can see some of the influence for sure. And I don't know where, if the Star Wars films or this particular scene was influenced by another film, but it's really beautiful and brilliant. And the choreography of how they do this, because they don't just use the lightsabers, but Darth Vader also uses the Force to like move things off the walls. And this is way before CGI. So they had to figure out a way to do that in a way that didn't actually hurt Luke, because sometimes it really does hit him in these. Right. Yeah. And I remember looking at this and going, oh, I don't know if that was meant to happen, because it really does hit him. And it looks like he's like, oh God, so it's really amazing. There's this, they get onto the shaft, and Luke is fighting with him, and he's a little too arrogant, and so Darth Vader has to teach him a lesson. And how do you teach someone a lesson with a lightsaber?
You cut off their hand. Yeah, it's very it's very quick to unveil that Darth Vader is much more powerful, much more competent in the Force than Luke. So it doesn't take him long to start overpowering him. And yeah, they end up getting out onto kind of this catwalk kind of a thing. And Luke loses a hand in the fight. And then he loses kind of everything that he held dear to him. So kind of what has happened through A New Hope is that Luke went on this journey because he believed his father to be, this great Jedi Knight, this kind of idolized character that Luke holds. But here at the end of Empire Strikes Back, when he is at kind of his lowest point, he learns that his father is in fact Darth Vader, this ultimate menace, his adversary, this one that just, took his friend and had him, encased in carbonite, and took the rest of his friends and cut off his hand, and was willing to do all of this to expose Luke to the fact that he is his father. And you get Mark Hamill here. It's very emotional as he's saying, "No, that's not true. That's not possible." And you get kind of this moment of serenity in Luke as he kind of accepts that fact, and he's more prepared to just fall off of this platform to his assured death as opposed to face Darth Vader. So it's really very beautiful and very moving. And neither of you or I were alive in 1980 to know kind of the cultural ramifications of this twist, because apparently it was very tight-lipped and very surprising to people. Kind of the ultimate movie twist here is that Darth Vader is Luke's father, but ends up falling not to his death, but to his near death. But luckily, Leia is in tune with Luke, and she can hear his call for help through the Force.
That's right. They are getting out. They've got their Millennium. I think they're still in the Millennium Falcon, and she's driving it because Han is not there. So she's driving it with Chewie, and
Lando's driving it. He used to drive it all the time when it was his.
Sorry. Of course. Right. Sorry. Lando is there. I apologize. See the black hole. It's still here. And she can feel it. There's a close up on her face, Carrie Fisher's face. And she says, "Oh, Luke, we gotta go back. We gotta stop. We gotta turn around." And they're looking at her like she has lobsters coming out of her ears. They're like, "Sweetie, we just made it out by the skin of our teeth. This is real bad."
That's one of my favorite almost individual moments of this too. And they both kind of revolve around Chewbacca. So the one I mentioned when he was so sad when Han was getting lowered down, but Leia tells Lando that they need to turn around to go get Luke, and Lando's like, "We're not turning around." And Chewie just looks like he is like, "I'm going to rip your head off of your neck right now if you don't do what she says." And that's awesome. And they turn around, they get Luke, and they're off to fight another day.
That's right. And they're in this. I love the next scene. They're in this medical ward, and they're kind of putting this hand that's very flesh colored and looks just like a regular hand back onto Luke, and and he's definitely different. He's definitely got a different kind of aura around him and an attitude around him than at the beginning of the film, right? He has had the wind knocked out of him, so to speak, right? He thought he was going to go and save his friend and save the universe and fight Darth Vader, and that it would be fine because he had all this gift from the Force. And now he luckily he's getting his arm repaired, so he's going to be able to do things with two arms and two hands. But he's very much different. You can tell that he has to wrestle now with the fact that his father is this horrible human being, and is has his friend. They've got to regroup. And not only does he and his friends have to regroup, but all of the rebels have to regroup if they have any chance of overcoming this major defeat, right? Because if you take a look at the whole film, they had their rebel base found out. There was a ground war. Some people were evacuated, but a lot of people died there. So they've taken a major hit, not just him and his friends, but also the rebels in general. And it's a really kind of somber way that this ends, until the very, very end, I think.
Yeah, you do get a little tiny glimpse of optimism as you'll see Chewie and Lando flying off in the Millennium Falcon. They're on their way. We learn to try to go find Han. You get Leia and Luke kind of looking out this very large window on this kind of freighter ship that they're on, looking out into the distance, and then yeah, that's kind of where it kicks off. That's where it leaves us at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. So
Yeah.
a pretty dark, pretty bleak tale. If you think of Star Wars as being this trilogy, right? So these three films. So this is definitely kind of the low point, the act two, and then able to start coming back. But you do get a little glimmer of hope there at the end that maybe they have made it out of the depths of their struggles and are able to maybe start coming back. And that's where Empire Strikes Back ends. It doesn't end with a big glorious medal ceremony from blowing up a Death Star. It ends with a fake hand and sending people off into the abyss to find their friend. They don't know if they're going to be able to recover. And the knowledge now that Luke has to go forward with that his dad was not this person to be idolized, maybe in all aspects. So that's The Empire Strikes Back. So aside from black holes, Michaela, what, I guess, tell us kind of your history, I guess, with Empire Strikes Back. Do you remember like seeing it the first time, or like where, I guess, in the scope of Star Wars stories, where does this one land for you, or just any tidbits about Empire Strikes Back you want to share with the folks at home?
Yes, I remember my half brother, when he lived with us, he had really cool Star Wars bed sheets. I don't know why I remember that, but I do remember a lot of the merchandising. Like, this film was one of the first films, this trilogy, right, was one of the first ones to ever really do merchandising certainly in the way that it had. So there were lunch boxes and figurines and pajamas and sheets and plates. I mean, anything. And it has not ended. So everything that you want, from speakers to cup holder, I mean, everything, you can get it Star Wars related, right? And now there's so many different kind of Star Wars stories. There's the three trilogies that you kind of put together. There's the history of Boba Fett, or the book of Boba Fett. There's the Mandalorian with Baby Grogu. Like, there's so many other pieces you could love. You could have Star Wars stuff forever. But I remember when the films came out, they were remastered and they were put out on the big screen. I had definitely seen them before that, but I remember watching them on the big screen. And that last scene that you talk about, where there's this window that Luke and Leia are looking out at, and then you see them, and then it pans back, and they're in this medical ship that is now taking off. And then you can also see the Millennium Falcon kind of going a different way. I don't know if that was part of the remastered or if that was in the original, but that is absolutely beautiful. And you can tell, I think, some of the Harry Potter films where they're in, something horrible has just happened and they're ending, but they want to end on a semi high note. They have that same kind of look where they've got the people looking off into the distance, looking at their friends or something, and they pan out. And it reminds me, it tells me how influential this movie was. But what about you? I mean, you've loved Star Wars since birth, basically, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, pretty much. So I don't remember like the exact specific time I would have seen this the first time. I know Star Wars was a very big part of my childhood growing up. It was like a very frequent video rental from our county library. My mom worked down the road from the library, and we would she would, a couple of nights a week stop and get movies that we would watch, which, kind of spawned my just general love for movies now. But Star Wars was one that always seemed to make it home more often than not. I remember, really liking this. I really liked the section on Hoth. In particular, as a kid, I remember really liking that. I really like the tauntaun. That's my favorite kind of animal in Star Wars. So I've always kind of gravitated towards this story. And you'll see a lot of people when they're talking about Star Wars, ranking this up as kind of their favorite one or the best one. And I think that's because it still has a lot of fun. Like I mentioned, I really like the Hoth stuff at the beginning with the tauntauns and that battle. That's fun, but as you kind of age with it, you pick up on kind of the darker, more like mysterious tones. You identify with the stuff with, kind of those lessons that he's learning from Yoda. But yeah, The Empire Strikes Back is just really great. And then, yeah, I remember seeing the special editions with my dad at the movie theaters when those came back out in 1997. Would have been, like 15 years old. So just kind of getting into high school. So, still a very, kind of influential, like informative part of my upbringing. So yeah, it's had kind of these touch points with me as I've gone through the years. So I really love this film, was really excited to talk about it. Of course, love May the 4th, and love Star Wars. So let us know at home if you love Empire Strikes Back, if you made these cocktails with us. Let us know what your favorite Star Wars movie is. If it's this one, if it's something else, let us know. We want to know all of that stuff. And let us know how you're celebrating May the 4th. If you're watching one of the TV shows, if you're watching a movie, if you're going to a Star Wars convention, Star Wars Celebration is coming at the end of the month. Let us know if you're going to that, because we want to hear all of that stuff. We want to see pictures of your cocktails, especially the Bespin cocktail, because that is a sexy looking cocktail. So let us know that. Let me see pictures of your Star Wars toys. Let us see all that stuff. You can do that on Instagram and Twitter. It's at Drink the Movies, and on Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to see pictures of our cocktails, episode recaps, all that good stuff, you can do that on our website, which is www.drinkthemovies.com. And we would really appreciate if you subscribed and reviewed the podcast. Where should they go do that, Michaela?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere where Anchor podcasts are distributed. We do 2 drops a week, and they're both real fun. So you should subscribe to us if you're hearing us for the first time. And if you like what you're hearing, leave us a 5-star review. Tell your friends. We're building a great community that combines cocktails, mocktails, and movies. And we want you on that ride with us. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We do. So thanks so much for checking us out on our special May the 4th presentation of The Empire Strikes Back. Michaela, at this rate, we're going to get through all 9 of the Star Wars films. We've only got 7 left to do, but by then there will be more Star Wars movies. So I think this May the 4th Drink the Movies train is probably just never going to end. We're just going to have to keep talking about Star Wars indefinitely. And I think we're both okay with that. So hopefully everyone is willing to go on that journey with us, and we'll come back and check in with us next time on
Drink the Movies. May the Force be with you always.